Scientists just uncovered a counterintuitive truth about your brain. The harder you push for clarity, the more chaos you create. In a groundbreaking Yale University study, participants were asked to laser focus on solving problems, recalling memories, or analyzing complex situations, all while their brains were scanned in real time. What researchers discovered flipped traditional wisdom on its head. The more intensely participants overthought, the more their brain's default mode network, DMN, a system wired for self-reflection, spun into overdrive, flooding their minds with random fears, fragmented memories, and emotional noise. Instead of finding solutions, they drowned in mental fog. But here's the twist. The key to clarity isn't trying harder, it's learning how to stop trying altogether. But then, researchers flipped the script. They instructed the participants to do the opposite of what we're all taught. Stop trying. Instead of wrestling with their thoughts, they were told to relax, observe without judgment, and surrender the mental tug-of-war. What unfolded was nothing short of miraculous. As the participants let go, their brains underwent a quiet revolution, like a humming engine shifting to a gentle murmur. The default mode network, DMN, once a storm of chaotic activity, began to quiet. Mental static faded. Thought patterns, once tangled like knotted wires, smoothed into coherence. It was as if the mind had been straining to see through a fogged mirror, until suddenly the glass cleared. Without the weight of forced effort, their awareness sharpened into a state of calm, laser-like presence. This explains why breakthrough ideas often strike not in the boardroom or the lab, but in the shower, on a walk, or while gazing absent-mindedly out a window. In those moments, the brain isn't working, it's flowing. The gentle rhythm of water, the crunch of leaves underfoot, or the slow drift of clouds act as a metronome for the mind, lulling the DMN into stillness. It's here, in this space of effortless awareness, that the subconscious whispers its answers, untouched by the noise of overthinking. The lesson? Clarity isn't something you chase, it's what finds you when you finally stop running. Your brain isn't wired to play puppet master. It thrives when freed from the exhausting illusion of control. Modern neuroscience now echoes a truth ancient philosophers like Marcus Aurelius carved into stone centuries ago. Peace isn't found in gripping tighter, but in loosening your hold. Take Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled an empire, teetering on chaos, battling invasions, navigating betrayals, and steering through plagues that decimated cities. Yet his personal writings reveal a man whose inner world remained unshaken, like the eye of a hurricane. His secret? Letting go of control, not apathy, but a profound shift in perspective. He stopped wasting energy on the illusion that he could command every outcome and instead focused on mastering his own mind. Imagine standing in the center of a storm, swords clashing, fires raging, voices shouting, and yet choosing to breathe. Marcus didn't ignore the chaos. He simply refused to let it colonize his thoughts. His journals, now known as meditations, repeat one mantra: you have power over your mind, not outside events. This wasn't resignation, it was liberation. By detaching from the uncontrollable, he channeled his energy into what he could shape: his judgments, reactions, and values. Here's the kicker. Modern psychology calls this locus of control, but Marcus lived it. While his empire burned, he wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." He didn't silence the storms, he learned to dance in the rain. And in doing so, he proved that true power isn't about holding the reins, it's about realizing which reins are worth holding. Most people spend their lives chasing peace like it's a finish line. If I fix this, achieve that, change them, then I'll finally feel calm. But Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king who ruled Rome through war and plague, cracked the code 2 millennia ago. Peace isn't about rearranging the world, it's about rewiring your relationship to it. Modern Psychology now backs his insight. Trying to control external chaos only amplifies stress. But Marcus didn't need fMRI scans to know that true power lies in mastering your response to chaos. When the Antonine Plague killed thousands, he didn't crumble. He organized relief efforts with clarity, then retreated to his journals writing, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." He couldn't cure the plague, but he refused to let it infect his mind. Here's the kicker. Strength isn't about ignoring the storm, it's about building an inner shelter. Marcus didn't numb himself to suffering. He simply stopped confusing control with peace. While others drowned in panic, he floated above the chaos, not because he didn't care, but because he cared. Differently. So next time life feels like a raging river, remember, you can't stop the current, but you can learn to swim or even let it carry you. That's the Marcus Aurelius way. At one point, the plague wiped out thousands of Roman citizens. Marcus couldn't stop it. So what did he do? Instead of panicking or trying to control the uncontrollable, he focused on what he could do, leading with wisdom, making decisions with clarity, and accepting what was beyond his reach. That's the true power of not caring. Not that you don't care about life, but that you don't care about forcing it to be something it's not. How we trap ourselves in unnecessary suffering. You can see this in everyday life. Picture two people stuck in traffic. One is gripping the wheel, muttering under their breath, constantly checking the time. Their mind spins with frustration. Why is this happening? Why does this always happen to me? I should have left earlier. Now, look at the second person. They sit back, take a deep breath, accept reality. They realize that traffic isn't in their control. Instead of stressing, they turn on music, look at the sky, and experience the moment. Same situation, but one person suffers while the other stays at peace. Not because the traffic changed, but because their attachment to frustration disappeared. How? The ego tricks you into holding on, and this isn't just about stressful moments, it's about life. How much of your suffering is actually coming from the situation itself, and how much is coming from your resistance to it? Because the truth is, the less you try to force control, the more peace you actually find. There's a strange paradox. When it comes to peace, the harder you try to be peaceful, the more anxious you become. Think about falling asleep. If you lie in bed forcing yourself to sleep, it doesn't happen. But if you let go and allow sleep to come naturally, it arrives. Effortlessly, the same applies to happiness and fulfillment. People chase happiness as if it's a destination. They think, once I achieve X, then I'll be happy. But the more they chase it, the more distant it feels. It's like trying to catch a butterfly. If you run after it, it flies away. But if you sit still, it gently lands on your shoulder. This is the paradox of effort. You don't find peace by forcing yourself to care less. You find it by allowing yourself to let go. How detaching unlocks peace. And this is exactly what today's video is about. How detaching from what doesn't serve you is the fastest way to find peace. There's a story about a renowned Japanese swordsman, Mamoto Mushi, that holds a powerful lesson about detachment. Mushi was undefeated in over 60 duels and is considered one of the greatest samurai in history. But his greatest victory wasn't won with a sword, it was won with letting go. One of MHI's most famous duels was against Sasaki Kajiro, a feared warrior known for his precision and deadly technique. Everyone expected this to be the most intense, skillful fight ever witnessed. But Mushi showed up late on purpose, barefoot and holding a wooden sword he had carved from a boat oar. Kojo was already agitated from waiting. His ego was inflamed. The moment the duel began, he lunged at Mushi with full force. But Musashi wasn't caught up in the moment like Kojiro. He was completely detached, not overthinking, not reacting emotionally, just present. With a single move, MAI struck first and ended the duel in seconds. This wasn't just a battle of skill, it was a battle of mindsets. Kiro lost because he cared too much. He was obsessed with proving himself. Mushi won because he had already let go. He wasn't weighed down by the need to win, to control, to impress. The paradox of life, this is the paradox of life. When you stop grasping, things fall into place effortlessly. Think about your own life. How many times have you stressed over things you couldn't control? A relationship, a job interview, a situation where you desperately wanted things to go your way. And yet, the more you obsessed over it, the worse it got. But here's the thing, the world doesn't reward those who grip tightly. It rewards those who flow with it, a universal truth. This idea isn't just something Mushi understood, it's found everywhere. In ancient Buddhism, in modern psychology, in the science of cognitive ease. In Buddhism, they have a saying, attachment is the root of all suffering. The idea is simple. When you cling to things, expectations, people, outcomes, you create your own misery. But the moment you detach, you free yourself. In Stoicism, philosophers like Epicurus taught that true peace comes from focusing only on what you can control. In Taoism, there's the concept of Wu-Wei, which means effortless action. It's the idea that the most powerful way to move through life is not by force, but by alignment with the natural flow of things. But modern life tells you the opposite. Modern life tells you to care more, hustle more, obsess more, as if being hyper-focused on every detail will somehow give you control. It doesn't. It just makes you more anxious. Today, people struggle with letting go more than ever before, because we live in a world that constantly pulls our attention outward. Social media makes you compare yourself constantly. News cycles fuel stress about things you can't change. Perfectionism makes you think everything has to be under control. The vicious cycle of anxiety. This creates an endless loop. The more you care, the more anxious you get. The more anxious you get, the harder it is to let go. It's not your fault. Society has trained people to attach their happiness to external things, likes, validation, outcomes. But the truth is, real peace starts when you stop chasing, letting go, not being passive. Most people think letting go means being passive, not caring about anything. That's not true. Letting go doesn't mean not taking action. It means taking action without attachment. Practical steps to detach. The next time you're in an argument, pause. Instead of defending yourself instantly, observe your reaction. Do you really need to prove anything, or is it just the ego wanting to be right? The next time something doesn't go your way, instead of resisting, accept it for a moment. Just see what happens when you stop fighting. The next time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, what would happen if I just let this be? You'll start to notice something strange but powerful. Life moves easier. Opportunities open up. You stop wasting energy on things you never needed to control in the first place. Because freedom isn't found in control. It's found in letting go of the need to control. And that's the real secret to peace. The science behind detachment psychologists have found that detachment from outcomes leads to higher performance and reduced stress. There's a concept in neuroscience called the default mode network DMN ASIA system in your brain that's always running in the background, analyzing the past and future. When you're overthinking, your DMN is hyperactive, constantly replaying scenarios, worrying about what others think and stressing over things beyond your control. But studies show that when people practice mindfulness, their DMN activity decreases. Their brains become quieter, calmer, and more focused on the present. Flow states and everyday peace. That's why elite athletes, musicians, and performers enter flow states. They've learned to turn off overthinking and act with complete PR presence. And this isn't just for high performers, it's for everyone. The next time you find yourself stuck in worry or self-doubt, try a simple shift. Instead of saying, I need this to happen, try saying, let's see what happens. This one shift removes pressure, reduces stress, and puts you in a state of effortless action. Because the less you grip, the more life flows. At the end of the day, letting go isn't something you do once. It's something you practice. You don't need a perfect method. You don't need to force yourself into a state of peace. You just need awareness. The moment you notice yourself clinging to a thought, an expectation, a memory, pause. Ask yourself, what if I didn't hold on to this? What if I simply let it be? That space, that tiny moment of awareness, is where real freedom begins. Because the less you grip, the more life flows.